An innocent suicide. Vapors of mist swirled lightly about her face. She recognized the foggy dew of dawn, the way cool moisture clung to her bedclothes and bare legs. The air was fuzzy with soft gray light, a light that casts no shadows and lends no definition to the vague, watery world surrounded in it. That was all she knew of where she was. She turned slowly, deliberately, searching the lack of shadows for some shape or sign.
This must be a dream.
Off to her right, blue lights appeared, spinning and dipping in the gray. They were far away, and so she turned from them. To her left, yellow lights appeared, weaving and floating in the fog, but they seemed somehow cold, and so she turned from them. Behind her, she recognized the sound of rushing wind in an open canyon. The sound of unknown empty space frightened her, and so she turned from it. Before her came the sound of running water, bubbling over rocks and things. The majestic sound, the sound of force and power, cowed her, but she'd nowhere left to turn.
This is more than it seems.
As she turned again, she saw the blue lights flickering in excited activity, and they seemed to move closer. The bright spots began to form a swimming, wavering image, the shape of a young woman. All gossamer and lights moved towards her.
Is this even reality, or someplace in between?
The blue woman approached her, and her eyes, though they had no shape, were sad.
Greetings, child. I am here. While I am, you've not to fear. No harm to you can ever be. Tell me, child, do you trust me?
The blue woman's head leaned slightly to one side, dancing lights making her hair seem to float on the breeze. Still, she was chilled by the woman's sad eyes, and the way her robes seemed empty, her voice hollow, her structure weak, so she replied,
I have given my trust before. It's something I will do no more. I can see right through you to the mist. You beseech my trust in a form like this? You ask to guard my bone and blood as if I were uneducated? The safety you offer is transparent like you. What good your lies and false promises do?
The blue woman looked at her and cried, silent tears of light sliding down invisible cheeks, and she shook her head sadly.
Child, you are all alone here. Can you now tell me you feel no fear? There is no one else here you can trust. Don't you see now that my protection is a must?
She shivered, for it was true that she seemed alone here, and the temptation of the blue woman's promises was strong.
I told you that I've given my trust before, and it's something I will do no more. Betrayal is too deep a pain for me to step into that fire again. You say I can trust no one else. You forget that I can trust myself.
With that, she turned from the lights and the blue woman and strode back into the mist. She was afraid, and knew she would be tested again as the yellow lights came back into view. Once again she heard the sound of wind and wide open spaces behind her. The sound seemed to offer escape, but there was something dreadful in the noise that had promised an easy but terrible method in that way out. The yellow lights had started dancing energetically as she approached, and she couldn't help but smile at the appearing form of the little girl.
Hello, stranger. You found your way. Won't you stay a while and play?
The little girl seemed so innocent. She knew it could not be so simple. Chill mists swirled cold at her ankles, whipping the hem of her gown against her legs, and the hair on her arms stood on end. She said nothing.
Please, it's cold and lonely here, and I tire shedding tears. Please, miss, won't you stay a while? I'm sure that you can make me smile.
I can offer you no solace, child, as I could only stay for a while. I'd make no promise I could keep, and I do not wish to make you weep. I will not offer what I can't give. You ask me to die while I wish to live. I wish I could make you happy and stay, but I'm seeking to live for another day.
The little girl shrieked and fell to the ground, and the yellow lights twitched and jittered and briefly took the form of a writhing serpent before shooting away into the fog, and again she was alone. The sound of rushing winds suddenly came up and surrounded her. The whistling and whipping sounded like voices, telling her to run away, pleading with her to take the easy way, asking her why she was trying to fight. She was alone, she was cold, she was lost. All she had to do was turn and flee blindly into that cold nothingness, and it would all be over. She could rest.
No, I will not run away. I will not give up, whatever you say. I know there must be hope about, and I believe I will find my way out. There is no glory in the easy way. I will not just lie down today. to turn and toss fate to the wind, instead of seeing how my story ends? You are a fool if you think I will fail, or give in to your airy, insubstantial wail.
She turned her back on the rushing winds of escape, swirling mists raging in anger behind her. All that remained was to see where the sound of water would lead her. Yet, when she turned to follow the sound was all around her, as thick and impenetrable as the gray mist. She felt tears of frustration stinging her eyes, and she cried out to the skies.
How am I ever going to find my way when all signs and signals lead me astray?
She took a deep breath and closed her eyes. The air smelled clean, crisp, like a spring morning after the rain. The fog was cool, moving lightly against her flesh, caressing her face, her arms, her calves. Cool earth sifted between her toes, gritty under her feet. Neither sand nor soil. The only sound was the hungry roar of water. Everything else was still, and that single sound consumed her. Eyes closed, she started walking. After some time, she felt something change, and she opened her eyes to see. She had found the source of the sound, a great river, almost too wide to see across, barreled past her. Before her was a pool, calm and clear, and at her feet, the blade of a sword rose from the ground, its glinting point aimed at her heart, had she taken but a few more steps.
This decision you would not now have to make. Chance would have designed your fate.
She looked up, startled, to find an owl perched on a stone in the center of the pool. For the first time in this surreal place, she'd met an other she felt she could trust. His thick, snowy feathers looked warm, and his deep, icy blue eyes were kind and wise. She smiled.
What trial is it I face now? The worst by far, I'm sure, somehow.
The other rose to the branch of the tree that appeared from the mist as it beckoned.
To the Lady Blue, she who cries, you said you trust her not, saw her lies. She offered you a sanctuary, yet you hesitated and you were wary. Tell me, child, do you trust my words? Will you put more stock in unknown birds?
She smiled again. The other was humorous, and he ruffled his feathers.
Feather friend, I hope you see that I trust you no more than she. The fact that I see you and like what I see can lead quick to a false security.
The other almost seemed to nod his large circular face, and then he fluffed his wings.
The serpent child, the angelic youth, early in years and short of tooth. She asked you to stay and play for a while. You even admit she made you smile. Why then did you run so fast away? Yet I show you a blade, and here you stay.
She looked at the other, and at the cold metal projecting from the ground.
That child offered eternal life, buried in layers of web-like lies. She said that she wanted me to play, when in fact she meant to waste away. While I may try to be fair and kind, I must keep what's most important in mind. I must first ensure that I am well, before my role as helper I'll fulfill. As to why I stand here still, of this dream or trial I've had my fill. I feel you'll help me to finish this place. I see sinister sincerity in your face.
Her answer seemed almost to satisfy the other, but he then turned his head aside and queried her yet again.
You say you tire of this test. You're weary and you long to rest. So tell me then, why are you here, when you just had escaped so near?
She actually laughed, remembering the unbidden knowledge of the horrid failure of the poor soul who took that easy way out.
You ask me why I chose to stay. I've come this far, why run away? The route I was offered was a lie, whistling winds and empty sky. I do not wish to succumb, I seek and strive to overcome. I'll stand my ground, fight my fear, and do what I must do to get out of here.
The other looked at her, and his eyes seemed sad. He took to the air again and landed on a boulder at her right side.
I think you know what you must do. Shed the old and dying you. There is too much doubt now in your heart. It's time you choose to seek a new start. Let go and give in to your pain. Bleed it out and start clean again. If you wish to live and fly, first you're going to have to die.
She felt her eyes widen as they skipped from bird to blade. She had known, somehow, that it would come to this.
Fate, oh, this must be a dream, yet it is so much more than it seems. So cry not, I am dead and gone. I will be cleansing all my wrongs. I will bleed dry all my wounds. I will lay bare all my flaws soon. I will let go of the pain I felt, go all in one with the losing hand I've been dealt. I'll forgive myself for all my sins. I'll kill myself to live again.
With those words, she lifted her arms, spread them like wings, and closed her eyes. She almost didn't notice she was starting to fall. Her movements were so light, the air so still and so soft, and she was unprepared. As the point of the sword pierced her chest, a scream of anguish escaped her lips, and the sun burst forth from the fog, its rays seeming to set fire to the crimson spray erupting from her heart. She slid down the blade, feeling it slice through her. She could feel warm sunlight on her skin as her lifeblood ran down her arms, pouring off her outstretched pointer fingers to pool on the ground. Even as her life force ebbed, sprouts began to rise from the places where her blood had settled. Blue and yellow flowers spread their petals, drinking in the sun's warmth as the vines grew over and around the sword and the impaled body. As the leaves finished concealing her whitening flesh, she released in one final, shuddering breath.
This is not the end of me. I'll look stronger than I thought I'd be.
And she was still. The other stood vigil, watching, as the fog cleared. He watched the morning joggers begin their day. He flew back up into a tree when one of them noticed her sprawled in the gravel before the fountain. He watched the paramedics try in vain to revive her, heard them say her brain had hemorrhaged, that she may have been hallucinating, and as he watched them cover her slumbering features with a white sheet, he found himself thinking, "This must be a dream," and he flew away.